Morning everyone, we're back onto the tractor today, and today's task is to fix this leaking down here. So we have an issue where the brake goes into the drum. There's one little O-ring that needs to be replaced. I'll see if I can get a better shot for you. Here is the left brake actuator, and it goes up into the back of the transmission there, and it's leaking out of that seal there quite badly, and it's sort of dripping down. So we want to be able to use this tractor around the houses and stuff, and on the concrete, and we really don't want it to be leaking oil anywhere. So this is the next big job to do. So to be able to do this, we need to take the wheel off, and the wheel is actually full of water, so that is very heavy. You've got to be very careful with that. We'll take the fender off, and once we've got the fender off, we should be able to break it there and pull all that off. So we've got to take this whole outside axle off. So this is going to be quite a big job, quite heavy. So anyway, let's get stuck into it. Right, before we get into it, there's a couple of things we need to do here. One is drain the wheel, so in a second we'll show you drain the oil out of the transmission. So the oil is actually used for the transmission and the hydraulics. The book says that it's about 48 litres. In the end we took out about 60 litres of oil, so there's quite a lot of oil in there, whether the book is correct is another thing. And here's the tyre, we'll turn the tyre off here, and this is, you get to be very careful. This is over probably 300 kgs of weight because it's full of water, and so if you tip it over, that would be it if it was on the side. So we were quite careful, obviously the two of us here, and we rolled it out and popped up against the fence for the couple of weeks while we did the rest of the project. Now getting this fender off wasn't as easy as we thought it was going to be. All good to just take a few bolts out here and there, but in the end we had to take the seat off and take a cross brace off. So you can see the cross brace here, which you had to take out, but of course that wouldn't come out without the seat going out first.
Cameraman's in the way.
Didn't actually take much at all with the
Get the other one while you're there, and then you can use the ratchet. Cool.
Before we started this project, I knew that there were going to be some things there was no way we'd be able to lift even with the two of us, and so I bought a block and tackle from Top of Mat, 1 ton block and tackle, and so here we're setting up the beam to go across the top of the tractor that we can attach the block and tackle to. So there's a couple of 150 by 50 mil planks to go across the top, and then obviously supported on that side. You can see there I'm doing it. Again, a couple of 50 by 150s, and then there's a third piece that ties back to the other direction, back to the door, so that it doesn't move in any direction. So that's the beam part that we hang everything off, and I'm just screwing it to the shelving here, and then the third piece is tied to the front of the shed and goes across, so it is all quite secure. And there we go, that's our finished beam, and here's the block and tackle that I purchased, and we changed that over the top. And once we've done that, it's actually pretty simple to take the fender off. The fender is actually a lot heavier than we both thought it was going to be. It is probably 10 mil steel, which there was no way we're going to lift it, just the two of us. To be fair, it is quite heavy, probably over 100 kgs, and you know, we use this when we take the actual axle off as well, and there's just no way we could have done it without the block and tackles. So we're quite happy to get that fender off without any real issues. And now the next thing is, how do we take the rest of it off? So yeah, it's just a matter of working away the next few bits and pieces. I tell you what though, the battery wrench that I bought is just awesome for taking bolts out. This thing just makes life so quick and easy. Look at that. And I would really recommend, if you're doing a lot of mechanical type works, get yourself one of those battery powered electric wrenches. And there we go, we're down to taking the axe off next. Been quite safe and slow as we go on, make sure we got everything. We're probably still going to move this out of the way so it doesn't get involved in that, but really now it's a matter of taking all these bolts out around here. Now these probably can see better, that is what's leaking, and there's just an O-ring in there. To pull this out though, that's the brake lever from the brake, goes into there, but to pull all this out there's a circlip on the inside to pull it out, to replace the seal to put it back in, or the O-ring to put it back in. So a big job for a little seal. Same size? So here we're strapping it up. There was obviously no way we were going to be able to lift this on and off without my block and tackle, so we just used a strap around it and then put the chain onto that, and this worked really well. So I went around with a breaker bar and broke all the bolts loose first. Actually they weren't as hard as I thought they would be. So once they were all broken, I moved in with the battery wrench and pulled all the bolts and nuts off. What we didn't realise at the time was there was still no way this was going to come out. Basically the front end loader frame that comes right from the front all the way to the back bolts on the axle here, and it's actually in the way from pulling this rear axle off, and so in a second that's the next thing to do, is actually pull the right hand side of the tractor's front end loader frame off. So there's basically 12 bolts holding this front end loader frame on, 6 at the front and 6 in the middle, and then there's 2 right at the back for that bolt on right through the axle. Once we worked that out, is really, there we go, you can see it just dropped there. It actually wasn't that hard to get it down, but then it was trying to make it safe again so that we can work on the rest of the tractor while it was out. And so we got the jack under the front of it, and as you'll see in a second, and we strapped the back of it up so that it wasn't going to move. The front of it's actually sitting on the front axle, and so that was never going to fall any further, but we didn't want to fall sideways or something, so here's a jack going under, and we block that up, and then we get a strap at the back just to hold it all and make sure that nothing could happen or fall on us as we're working around the back. Now taking the bolts out again, because we had put them back in because we didn't want it to fall while we were mucking around with the front and loader frame. And then really it was just a bit of effort, bit of muscle to pull it off. You can see I'm having a go, Reese is having a go, he's got it most of the way there. Now it's just a matter of pulling it out and dropping it on the ground. All in all, not that hard, but we wouldn't be able to lift it without the block and tackle, so that was definitely a good idea. So the last thing to pull off is the actual disc brakes, which is in this part, which the actuator and the O-ring is actually part of. It's quite good to have the studs still on the tractor when sliding this in and out. That was quite good. We had the 3 studs left and the rest were bolts, so that made it very easy to pull this off without too much effort. Awesome. So a bit of excitement there, finally getting it off. You can see there's a gasket left there that I bought a new one. That was the most expensive part of this little piece of the project. There's two O-ring seals that were very cheap compared to that, but next thing is to scrape that off both, but some of it's on that and some of it's on here. So this project's all about replacing that seal there. One little seal, which is the cheapest, that there expands to a big O-ring seal, and then obviously the gasket on the outside. So the gasket goes around there, big gasket. The O-ring seal is this seal here that goes all the way around, and the little O-ring is in here somewhere if we pull that shaft out.
I'd help by getting the torch, but I can't be bothered.
You don't need a torch. O-ring circlip one. I really want to. So I pulled the O-ring off, and it is, well, it's actually very hard, and looks very small compared to the new one in respect of fatness and size. So
Which one's the old one?
that's the old one, this is the new one.
Yeah. It looks bigger, doesn't it? Bigger diameter, or is it smaller diameter?
Well, maybe it is stretched a little bit, but the fatness of the new one looks definitely bigger.
It's just looking down at it's looking straight down at the right place now. Good. Can just bring it up close.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That looks good, it looks much better than the old one. But then it's all a matter of putting it all back together really. So we got that in, put the O-ring on, and then scrape all the gasket off. Then put the new gasket on. Then put the brake discs back on. That wasn't too much of an issue. And then final assembly of putting the axle back on. The O-rings going on here. And just like magic, the axle's back on. Sorry, we missed the money shot on this one. But anyway, the block and tackle made this very easy. We lifted it up, and as you can see here, I'm putting all the bolts in. All pretty straightforward to put it back in. And here we're just doing a bit of a clean up with some rust, scraping that off, and then the wax and grease remover before I give it a coat of rust cool. And if you watch closely, you can see the stuff activating and working quite quickly. Good morning everyone. Well, during the week I've been painting the tractor. I have saved you from all that. So we've got all this buttoned up. I torqued all those up, and we've given it a good coat of paint over top of the rust proofing along here as well, down where the main frame touches the tractor. So that's all ready to be put back on. And we've also been painting other bits and pieces as well, so we're getting very close that we can put everything back together. But the main object of today is really to get this main frame and guard and stuff back on. So the first objective of the day was to get the front and loader frame back attached to the tractor. So there's 6 bolts at the front of the tractor and 6 bolts in the middle, and just 2 big bolts at the back that also go through and hold the guard up. It's a little bit tricky. There's not much room in the middle for the middle brackets to go up. It has to slide between the step frame and the actual main part of the tractor. Once we got it up, pushed it up through there, it was pretty straightforward. It wasn't relatively easy to line up with the holes, and once we got that, it was all pretty straightforward to get everything done, really. So while we were here, we decided that it was time to fix this step. Clearly you can see here it's well bent, and time to straighten the spout. So a bit of gas on the tube, and a bit of a bar and a breaker bar there, and the rest you'll see in a second. Just no worries at all, pushes this down and straightens it out. So that's good. Another job ticked off the list. Other little small jobs to do, and that was reattach the brake lever here, and also connect the front end diff lock up. And there we go, with a little effort, and I mean a little effort, be able to lift this back onto the tractor, and well, just about there. And there we go, and the wheel's now going back on. Surprisingly, it just lined up when we put it in. You wouldn't believe it. And there we go. So now we've decided to take the left hand guard off and use the block and tackle to pull that up, and put it on the ground so I can paint it just like the other side. So here we are another day, and in the final stages of putting everything back together. I just need to get that mudguard back up on there, and in respect of painting, which I haven't filmed much, just the sides need another coat. The orange needs to be painted again, but other than that, everything else has had a couple of coats. And so really it's all just about putting back together. I still need to put I've got a new hose here, so we need to put that on and get under there, and we need to get oil in the gearbox transmission part, and replace the filter for that as well, which I've also got. So we are getting very close. So really, let's crack into it, and I think the first thing is that we'll get this mudguard back on. So again, we use the crane block and tackle to actually pull this thing back up and put it over. Relatively easy once we hit it in the right position. Then it's on to changing the hydraulic fluid filter. So I did that, and once the new filter was on, we topped it up with 60 litres of oil. Just about there, ready to go. To putting all the cowlings back on the tractor. They're all nicely painted up. And once we had all the guards and stuff on, it was back to putting the safety frame back on. So here we go, the final job on the tractor, which is replace the radiator hoses and then top it off with some good antifreeze. And we are just about there. And there we go, we're complete. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoy these videos, and we'll catch you on the flip side.